Hey, listen up, because I'm about to share how we helped a business owner generate an additional $500,000 in revenue in just 90 days. And no, this isn't some fancy marketing funnel or TikTok strategy or an AI chatbot. It was by implementing the revenue systems that nobody wants to talk about because it's not sexy and they're not trending. And most consultants and coaches have never actually built them themselves, so they'll never talk about them. But I'm gonna walk you through the exact timeline and every key milestone and show you the specific metrics you can see how tracking the dollars through your business actually drives revenue, because systems beat hustling every single time. Let me tell you about the client. They were doing about 30 million in annual revenue and hit a plateau. They had a good product, happy customers, a solid reputation, and the CEO tried hiring more salespeople, spending more on ads, even redesigned the website. But here's the thing, most businesses don't have a tactical problem. They have a systems problem. Let me introduce myself. My name is Bryce Finnerty, and I'm the founder of Deal Flow Dynamics. I have a background in building 4 different consulting firms over the past 20 years. So I get the startup space, yet most of my time has been helping Fortune 500 brands like Marriott and American Express and Under Armour. And so I know how things work from big business all the way down to startups. And today I want to explain the 90-day implementation accelerator sprint. I know it's a mouthful. 90-day implementation accelerator sprint. Each of those words are very important because most people don't focus on 90-day windows or an actual implementation, okay? And they sure aren't sprinting. So let me also explain, I'm a practitioner, not just another coach giving advice. Think of me more like the surgeon who's done more surgeries than anyone else. I've built thousands of systems for hundreds of clients. And so what I'm about to share with you, I learned on the job firsthand, seeing what works and what doesn't in business. And my mission is to help people. That's why we have a YouTube channel. We give out free advice on here that you can watch. But before I begin, I can only help you if you watch this to the end and if you implement the free systems training videos I'm giving you on YouTube. So please click subscribe to this channel so you can remember where it is, or sometimes it'll get lost in your feed. Also, like it and save it so that you have the video for quick reference later. The reason why I'm asking is you're gonna want to click the share to send it out to your colleagues and your friends and your team, because you're gonna wanna discuss what you read in this video and listen to in this video with your team, because you can actually do this yourself. So trust me, don't just do your implementations without thinking through a good, proven practice for driving revenue. Okay, so now let me break it down for you. The 90 days first phase is called the discovery phase, and it's from day 1 to day 15. And let me just stop right there. Most consultants get it wrong right there, because they just start by implementing software or by hiring a team and they just start building. But they never did the discovery phase to figure out what the problem is. Here's how we're different. We start by following the money as it goes through the company. And I'll explain why that is a critical differentiator than just jumping into the solution. But let me just touch on it now. If you just jump straight to the solution, like we need a new CRM, that's not going to make you money or drive revenue, because it's just an expense to get the license. It's going to be an expense to implement it. And how do you know it really made you any money or there's even an ROI? So let me break down the activities we do, and you can steal these yourself. Okay, here's what you need to do. Don't jump to the conclusion, do your discovery. Step 1, we map out the quote to cash cycle. Starts with when you send a proposal, you close the deal, you do the delivery, and then you collect the cash at the end. We have to map that whole thing out to understand how money's flowing through the company. After we understand that, we look at your tech stack and see if there's anything disconnected in the data or the software that's running those systems, because often they're quite disjointed and there's problems there. And so we need to know what your tech stack is, we need to follow the money, and then we will actually break down your revenue streams to see which products actually make money and which ones lose money and what your profit margins are. And then we love to interview the team members because they often know what's wrong and they'll tell you what the bottlenecks are. Here's what we found. Immediately in the first 15 days, the biggest red flag came up. They were losing 40% of their deals between the proposal and closing phase. So usually, immediately we can find the big problem. And the real reason they lost those deals is they didn't get proper follow-up. So let me just clarify. This wasn't a sales problem or sales training, as your coaches might tell you, but it was a systems issue because they had this lack of visibility, a lack of automation, and a lack of tracking, meaning it was very hard to get from the quote to the close. People just lost track of things. So it's actually critical that these three systems are identified. And let me just summarize. We found the 3 critical systems failures within the first 15 days. Isn't that amazing? Wouldn't you love to know the 3 critical things wrong with your business in the next 15 days? Okay, so once we know those 3 things, we call it the foundation building. What happens here between day 16 and day 45 is crucial. You know, with a building, it's built on a foundation. If you want a big building and you want a big company or a lot of revenue, you're gonna need a really strong foundation. This is where we build that foundation. If you skip this phase, you have a weak foundation and the business will crumble. We prioritize which fix or upgrade will generate the most revenue the fastest. Then we'll repeat that. Here's how we prioritize what to fix in what order. We look at which fix or upgrade generates the most revenue the fastest. Our entire systems architecture and planning is based on that. And I can't tell you, this is mistake number 1 that most people make. Because if you do it this way, you're guaranteed to generate revenue. And so you're guaranteed to get an ROI on every dollar spent. Wouldn't that be nice as an entrepreneur that you knew if you spent $1, you would make more than $1? It has a positive ROI. Okay, so let me just break down how this phase goes. That's how we prioritize the biggest fixes. The first thing we needed to do was connect the CRM to their project management system where they did their delivery, okay? Because that connects sales to operations. Next, we had to build an automated proposal follow-up sequence because people were having trouble getting on the second call and the client's not gonna call you back. And so there it kind of sits in this weird limbo. So we set up an automated follow-up sequence. And then we had to track. We set up a proper tracking on all the revenue generating activities so that we know, are we doing the right activities that generate revenue? And we have them on a dashboard. And the last step is we pull all that into a dashboard showing how the money and the revenue tracking activities flow down through the entire company. Let me tell you a little bit more about the opportunity tracking system in detail. Here's what we do. We set up alerts when a prospect views but didn't respond. That means we know they looked at it, but they didn't take any action. That's critical to know. Did they open it or not? And are they responding or not? Next, we set up this nurturing with value-added content. In this phase, this is probably the most important phase. If you learn nothing else today, you must have nurturing. What it does is, now that they know your offer and you made your offer, but they haven't bought yet, they're thinking of all these questions. And so they're up in their mind, they're not calling you to ask, they're not scheduling a follow-up meeting. So the nurture sequence addresses frequently asked questions. It also can address objections to buying, like will this work, or case studies, or testimonies. And so typically that nurture sequence is you're building trust and adding value, maybe giving them tips and tricks and helping showcase your expertise by helping them for free before they buy. Okay, that's the nurture sequence. And then we can flag any proposals needing follow-up, and we can tell by how well they're engaging in our nurture sequence. And then this gives us full visibility into those revenue drivers throughout essentially the quote to close process. Okay? Now let's break down 2 other critical systems that we started building in this phase. The second one is the data-driven pricing optimization framework. Okay, that's a mouthful. Data-driven pricing optimization framework. It's a fancy word for, are we charging the right price? Is profit built in? And so what we do here is I'll break it down a little further in the video, but we essentially look at your pricing, your profit, your expenses, and make sure profit is built into every job and that salespeople aren't discounting just to close the deal. And then lastly, we call it the customer success system for retention and referrals. I'm gonna break that down further as well, okay? But let me just share with you the immediate results. Conversions went from 60% to 77% just by tracking the open rates and nurturing. That added an additional $43,000 in monthly revenue, already being generated within the first 45 days. That's incredible. Imagine how that would change your business. Okay, then what happens next? Day 46 through 75, we call it the optimization phase and integration. Mentioned earlier, systems could be disconnected. So we have to focus on integration because when systems are integrated, they scale very easily. This is how you create that scalable revenue engine. So during this phase, we complete the data-driven pricing system and we launch the customer retention program. Then we integrate all the systems into the revenue command center, my favorite. And now we have everything showing up in our revenue command center. Now let's break down how the pricing optimization worked. You see, it was based on real data, not just theory. We looked at what they were charging, the cost of goods sold, the expenses, overhead, everything, and made sure they hit their profit targets. And then we could look at any jobs and customers and accounts that weren't hitting profit targets, what was profitable, what wasn't, and we came up with this pricing model. The amazing part is immediately 18% increase in the average deal size. They were leaving money on the table, didn't even realize it. Okay, and so let's talk about the magic of integration. As a systems guy, integration is a very popular word. It means awesome because that's where the magic happens. If things are integrated, there's no more manual steps or drop balls. And so this allows us to track the prospect from the first touch all the way to the deal close. And then we manage the customer and have visibility through the entire life cycle. And then at the end, we have a specialized phase where we can track the referrals and if we could sell them phase 2 or upsell them at the end. So do you see how critical it is that you have to have complete visibility into the money flowing through the business? It is absolutely essential. Okay, now what? The acceleration phase. Let's hit the gas now that we've got everything set up and working. All right, so let me explain what happens between day 76 and day 90. We're focused on optimization. We're collecting data, making data-driven decisions. We're seeing exactly what the top performing products were or which weren't performing. We looked at any of our specialized marketing. We could see what worked and what didn't, what nurture sequences and so on were working. And let me list exactly what happened during this referral program. You might be wondering. It's not that fancy. We call it the Customer 360. So as you're coming up to the end of the project, it also helps with closeout and getting your final invoices and billing out. But we just have one more meeting for, around closing. If you're a project manager, it's called a 360. You have one internal meeting and then you invite the client to it. In this meeting, you ask for referrals. Hey, if you found this helpful, do you know anyone else who would find this helpful? And they might say, yeah, my friend's company. Okay, so you just asked for the referral. And then maybe there's even an incentive. Maybe you give them a discount or something to get that referral. Okay, then we ask for a testimonial, just like, hey, could you just share how the project went? And they'll say something and there you have a testimonial. We often ask them, how could we improve? So be humble. They'll give you feedback so you can improve yourself and fix any problems that happened on the job so they don't happen again. And then we talk about, hey, what's next? What are your plans now? And they will often just tell you what else they need or want or what they plan on doing next. And they might even want your help. Often they wish you would provide that help because now they're implementing the system, right? And so it's going to need further upgrades in phase 2 and so on. And so now you just sold phase 2. Okay, so let me show you how this helped the business. 32% improvement in lead quality. That's because we nurtured the leads and found out who needed our help and who didn't, okay? The sales cycle shortened from 45 to 28 days because we were addressing those concerns through the nurturing sequence and we knew when to follow up when there was problems. My favorite part, an 85% close rate on the referrals versus the standard 53% for cold leads. So almost all these referrals were closing because they came in warm with a testimony from their trustworthy friend. So if you calculate all this, that's $167,000 monthly additional revenue by day 90. And let me emphasize, that's $500,000 additional revenue in the first quarter. Who doesn't like the sound of that? Okay, now let's go. It keeps getting better because let's break down the actual ROI. A $50K investment in this implementation accelerator sprint. Okay, so they made a big investment of $50K. They trusted us. But it immediately brought $500,000 in additional revenue, this thing more than paid for itself in the first 90 days, even before the project was over. Now, fast forward for the year, $2 million in projected annual revenue this year. That's a 10x ROI in just 90 days and a 40x ROI over the year. So guys, if you set up your systems right, they literally make money for you. And these results are completely sustainable because there's systems in place and running. They're not temporary tactics. So let me contrast this when you throw money at marketing or a sales promotion. They stop working as soon as the promotion's over and the money's burned. But in our scenario, we built a system that's sustainable. It's a revenue engine based on systems, not tactics, and it continues to run. So why does this matter to you? Because hey, I don't know what level your business is at, but these principles work whether you're 500K, 50 million, 500 million, or a billion. And so no matter what, this video, I hope you can implement these pieces in your business right now, even if you're a one-person company. Let me summarize again the 3 critical systems every business needs. So just to summarize, it was the quote to cash systems tracking every dollar through the business, data-driven pricing and offering strategy, and then the retention and referral system that maximizes customer lifetime value. And also, let me emphasize, no amount of marketing or sales training or motivational speeches will fix these systems. So just make sure if you're focused on all that, your systems are being neglected. So I really want to just stop you there. I hope that you just listen for a second and just refocus your attention. Are you focused on revenue systems? That is the secret here. Okay, so here's the call to action. If you're tired of hitting plateaus in your business, if you're frustrated trying tactic after tactic without seeing sustainable growth, then it's time to look at your systems. The time is now. So instead of leaving you with more generic advice, I want to offer you something that will actually deliver results. I will help you. Book a revenue systems call with me directly by clicking in the link in the description. On this call, we'll dive deep into your specific business challenges, identify your biggest systems gaps, and create a concrete action plan to address them. And unlike endless advice from coaches who never implement anything, I'm actually going to show you exactly how to put these systems in place to drive real revenue growth. Yeah, and this isn't another strategy session. It's about implementation that gets results. So we're going to focus on the systems that will make the biggest impact for your unique business right now. And if you found this video valuable, check out my video on how to build a self-managing business that runs without you, because it goes deeper into how these systems work together to create a business that doesn't rely on you doing everything. So please remember, in business, systems always beat hustle. Get your systems right first, and everything else becomes easier. I'll see you in the next one.